just a heads up, there will be some mild spoilers in order to describe how this game plays and what it's about. If you have already played The Friends of Ringo Ishikawa and know what's in store from our Yayo game, I highly recommend you check this game out for yourself right away and come back once you're done. If you're unsure what you're getting into or just like to hear some of this game unpacked before you decide whether to dive in for yourself, please enjoy. In just one short 3-hour playthrough, Fading Afternoon's mechanics properly clicked with me. Determined to immediately seek out and go through as many of the proper story routes as I could, I was immediately hooked in even further than I thought. The initial exposure to the immaculate vibes captured within that first playthrough was already enough, but I've since gone in for 2 more playthroughs, racking up several more hours and met my fate in different ways each time. And I'll definitely be going back for more. Yayo, the developer, is one of the most unique voices I've come across in indie gaming. Rather than a linear beat-em-up, the experience is more so about playing a role in a life sim that lets you determine for yourself how to decide you want to go about interacting with the world. You can absolutely go buck wild on those you deem your enemy for rewards and proper story progression paths, or you can simply choose to ignore your past life and live a simple new one on the streets. But unlike The Friends of Ringo Ishikawa, a game where how you chose to play your role did not necessarily affect you very much, Fading Afternoon instead centers itself a lot more around your actions and how you keep up with your duties. This felt like the natural progression of where Yayo would want to take his games next, adding tangible consequences and rewards based on your decisions, more unique events to experience throughout multiple playthroughs, and allowing every player to roleplay their own unique character in a more meaningful way. It begins as Seiji Maruyama, otherwise known in the Yakuza as Gozuki, is released from prison. After reconvening with his old boss, who gives him some cash and a hotel booking to help him get back up on his feet, he's given a tip on where he'll be able to find a gun to start his work. But after waking up, we find out a critical detail about Seiji's return. He's coughing up blood as he's contracted a fatal illness. Going down to the hotel lobby, you find you can extend your stay until you find a place of your own. Heading out to the first open area of the game, the main street, you'll find a clothing shop where you can get some new digs for an easy rep increase, a small jewelry shop, a restaurant where you can eat to regain some of the HP you've lost, and once you leave, the world finally opens up to you and widens further as you experience more events and accomplish tasks. Rather than building up a character over time the way you would your Ringo in the height of his youth, Seiji's story is all about deciding how you want to live out the rest of your days. For example, my initial Seiji tried his best to return things back to the glory days, not changing at all from how he lived before prison time, but despite pleasing his boss and fostering a small fortune, he was unable to change his lifestyle and lived far too indulgent and dangerously to keep up how he would be able to in his youth. While your Seiji may just buy a car, decide to take off to the countryside, becoming a fisherman, and live out his life completing his catalog. And while you may roll credits in less than half the time that you did in Ringo, you can easily multiply the replayability factor here by the number of times you want to change how you experience Seiji's tale. From seldom visited locations to your usual spots, every area has a strong attention to detail. The unique linings and signage across the exteriors, the lived-in feeling interiors, and the impressive number of unique NPCs with cute animations to boot make every area worth exploring and admiring. This game is absolutely stacked with incredible tracks as well. So good that I'd even listen to them outside of the context of the game. To think that some of these are unique songs tucked inside small shops you seldom visit makes every corner of this game feel a sort of love and care packed so tightly into it that there will be a litany of small intimate moments and spots that I will never forget. Much like Ringo, the incredibly strong writing and understanding of its place in time, location, and how its characters would respond in each of these contexts is my favorite standout aspect of the entire title. The melancholic air of what the future holds lies thick for its cast and the outdated Yakuza life they lead, and it permeates throughout your routine as the days draw on. As far as gameplay goes, there are some nice quality of life additions over the Friends of Ringo Ishikawa as well. Frontal of which is an available action menu you can toggle on and off from the press of a button whenever you need to, which helps a lot to untangle the unique 4-button layout. You're also no longer required to remember precisely how to get to each location, as the map system encompasses a much wider, spread out variety of locations, rather than the semi-dense walks you'd have to take and remember to get to some places. There's a time system here as well, but rather than forcing you to dash everywhere with day cycles that function on a constant clock, Fading Afternoon primarily passes time when you move from location to location. The famous smoke button is back from Ringo as well, and role-playing is greatly heightened by a number of little actions you have at your disposal, including popping a squatter resting on benches, asking for a dance, having a daily shave, waiting on a balcony, combing your hair, handling your jacket and sunglasses, and so on. And finally, combat, well, it's really smooth. The main move you'll learn to rely on here is your parry, where as you're holding the punch button to block, you can press the kick button in order to catch your enemy's attack and instantly take them out. But you also have access to throws, tackles, traditional punch and kick combos, neat dodge moves you can only enact with the D-pad, and enemies carry weapons that you can steal. But the only kind you can hold on to between battles and initiate with are purchased handguns from the local pawn shop. Enemies will almost entirely leave you alone if you're not the one to aggravate. The main motivation for combat kicks in with the big moneymaker, the territory system. You can take out rivals to steal their land, and once you have scared them off enough, you're tasked to take out a hit on their leader. Once you accomplish this, what's theirs is yours. Later on, you also own your own office where your parts of town will generate income that you are able to collect. But unless you pay to keep them staffed up or spend valuable time defending them yourself, they will be fought back for. This was a really simple but rewarding and welcome micromanagement element that forces you to weigh how you want to spend your time and how valuable that money, reputation, and ownership is to you. Is that nice car and upscale home really worth it? While some may not find it to have quite the same level of gut punch that Ringo carried in its story, I found it to have even more merit in how you're able to explore its themes within the gameplay, and I enjoyed the act of playing it more as well with the expanded combat and more drastic actions you were able to enact. So please do not skip my favorite indie of the year, Fading Afternoon. I'm really gonna have to play Arrest of the Stone Buddha now. I'll go get right on that.